Hi guys, how are you doing? It's Nick. Today I thought I'd just come on and have a chat about retail arbitrage, which, if you don't know, is buying up new stock either online or on the high street or in supermarkets, and then selling that stock on for profit, be it on Amazon or eBay or anywhere really. And there's huge opportunities to make really good money, and anybody can do this. It's just about having the nerve to take the opportunity and make the most out of it when you find it. And what I thought I'd do today is just talk about. Oh, sorry, my book's just fallen over with my notes on it. What I thought I'd talk about today is just 5 different examples that I've had over the years of various ways I've managed to make really good money buying new stock and selling it on. To hopefully just show you what the opportunities are. Like I say, this sort of stuff is available to anybody. Anybody can do this. It's just about finding the opportunity and making the most of it. So yeah, that's what it's going to be. This is my sort of top 5 stories of retail arbitrage. So yeah, let me crack on. Number 5 in this list is on there because it's kind of a nostalgia thing for me. This is going back a really long way. This is way before, this is before I was even doing this full time. This was when I was still a part-time reseller. I was working for the police force and doing this in my spare time. So this was back in 2001. And it was really the first example of buying new stock and selling on eBay at the time to make money. And what it was we had a huge Tesco's near where we lived. We lived in a town called Baldock at the time, and we were doing really well in our spare time buying and selling on eBay. And they had just released the Harry Potter Lego sets, and there's one in particular which was the Hogwarts Castle, and we found that they had loads of stock in our local Tesco superstore, and I happened to be selling Lego Harry Potter figures and little sets online, and through selling those I had found out that the Harry Potter castles were selling for ridiculous money on eBay because it was kind of the toy of the year. And everywhere was selling out, but I happened to know that there were loads in our Tesco's. So we went up to Tesco's and we found that we could buy them for, no, I can't remember the exact money. Let's say it was £60 or £80 or something for the set. And on eBay they were selling in the hundreds. So we did the simple maths in our head and we went and bought them all. And sold them on eBay at really good profit. And that was my kind of introduction to the world of seeing an opportunity on the high street or in supermarkets and just going for it. And I remember I had an email from an eBay user at the time who emailed me and said, "Why are you selling these Lego sets for 160 quid or 200 quid or whatever the numbers were?" I really can't remember. This is so long ago. It's about 14 years ago. And I just replied and I said, no, they said to me actually, "Do you know you can get these sets for £60, £70, whatever it was, on the high street?" And I politely said to them, if you can find one, I would grab it quickly, because the reason we're selling these is because demand has gone through the roof and nobody can get hold of them, and we're managing to sell them at whatever the price was, 180 odd. So yeah, that was my first ever experience of retail arbitrage, and it introduced me to a whole other world of being able to make money. So that's my number 5, was buying up Harry Potter sets in 2001 in Tesco's and selling them all on eBay for about double my money. The next one, my number 4, was an interesting one. This isn't that long ago. This was the last Comic Relief Day, which was it was last year, 2013, and every year they release a single to go along with the campaign. And last year, One Direction were kind of the poster boys that they used to promote their single. They released a single, it was like a cover version of a Blondie track. Was it Blondie? I think it was Blondie. Anyway, they had a single out. And in the UK, this single, I think, was released worldwide, but in the UK, all the profits went to Comic Relief, and it had a particular cover on it, a unique European cover of the guys wearing the red noses and stuff. And I took a punt on some of those and bought some because I thought this is a UK exclusive. It might sell well worldwide because their fan base is huge worldwide, and I was bang on with it. And they were $1.99, these singles, and I found the only place that was stocking it was Sainsbury's, because they are the only chain that support the Red Nose Day campaign, as it were. And the red noses are only available in there, and these singles seem to be only available in the Sainsbury's. And there's lots of Sainsbury's near me. So I was picking them up at $1.99, and I was selling them on eBay for £10. And most of them were going to America, but I also sold them to Australia, China, a lot went to China, Japan, South America, a lot went to. Even in the UK, I was selling them at £10 each. And what I would do was just go out to all my local Sainsbury's and find the stock they had, and just buy it all. And then I would ring round Sainsbury's and find out when they got stock back in. And I managed to sell hundreds of those. And it was so quick and easy because it was one listing, and I would just change the quantity as I found them. So Comic Relief did really well out of it because they sold hundreds of these singles at the price that they wanted for them. And I sold them on at profit. We also made a donation, an extra donation to Comic Relief as well, because we felt that we were kind of profiting on the back of a charity single. Even though the charity was getting all of its revenue that it wanted anyway, we made an extra donation on the back of that. But that was an interesting one, and that just shows the little products that you can find that are UK exclusive or store exclusive. Or sometimes online websites have exclusive deals, and you can do really well picking them up and selling them on different websites. So that was an interesting one. The third one, this was more about taking advantage of companies as they go bust. And if you're here in the UK, you'll remember that Woolworths went under in, was it 2009 or 2010? I can't remember the year. We, like most towns in the UK, had a big Woolworths store here in Hitchin, and when the company went bust, all the posters went up saying big clearance sale, and they had a sale that was incrementally getting bigger and bigger, as in the discounts were getting bigger and bigger. It started at 40% off, and then everything went to 50%, all the way up to 90% on the last day. So I'd been in and I was buying media products. When it got to sort of 60-70%, I was picking up a lot of media stuff, and then I got chatting to the manager. At this point, I had my own high street retail shop, and we used to sell CDs and DVDs and games. So I was buying up stuff and just taking it to my shop and selling it in there, and also selling it online. But I got chatting to the manager because they were selling all the fixtures and fittings as well. So I got in with him, and I bought a load of I bought their CD chart wall and their DVD chart wall, and just carried it up the road and installed it in my own shop. It was fantastic. I got thousands of pounds worth of racking for a couple of £100. But then I got chatting to the manager, and I got a heads up that it was going to all go to 90% off on the last day. So on the last day I went down there and I picked up everything I could that was left in the DVD department and CDs. And then I went up to the counter and I chatted to the people there and said, is there anything still out the back that's not been put out? Is there anything? They had all these great big cabinets where they used to file all of their stuff. And I asked the girl who was serving, could she check if there was any more stock out the back? And she found tons of it. And I bought everything. I was buying piles and piles of brand new sealed DVDs and box sets. And stuff like World of Warcraft time cards, which would retail at about £18-19. I used to sell them in my high street shop, so I was getting those at 90% off. at the time, Leona Lewis had just released the single Hallelujah. If you're here in the UK, you'll remember that's #1 for a few weeks. They had hundreds and hundreds of copies of that, and they were selling it at $3.99. It was still #1 at the time, or it had just come down from #1. I don't know. It was still top 10 anyway. So I bought all of those, hundreds of copies of that, at 90% off, $3.99, and sold all of those on eBay for $2.99 each. Made a load of money on those, but I bought essentially everything they had left in CDs, DVDs, and games, to a point where I couldn't carry it all, and I had to ring my wife and get her to bring the car to Woolworths, and they helped us fill the car. I had I still do have a big Ford Focus estate, and we just filled it with stock from Woolworths. So we did really well out of that one. And it was the same story with Blockbusters. When Blockbusters went under, I knew the guys in my local Blockbusters, and they gave me a heads up of when the big discounts were going to kick in. And I bought all of their sealed games out of Blockbusters, and made an absolute killing on that. So that's more being aware of companies when they're going under, getting to know the shop staff if you can, and finding out how the sale's going to pan out if they know, and just chat to them, make them aware that you're interested in buying a lot of stuff, or don't do it that way and just chat to them and find out the structure of the sale and how it's going to progress. And if you're armed with the knowledge of when these big discounts are going to kick in, you can be the first in line, and you can do really, really well out of these. So that was those. That's Woolworths and Blockbusters when they had their huge clearance sales. I cashed in so well on those and made many, many thousands of pounds just from being proactive and getting there and asking the questions, and just getting as much as possible out of these sales when they're happening. Number 2 is a deal that, if you've watched my videos over the last few months, you'll have seen me cashing in this particular deal. And this was a Tesco's mega haul I had. Last spring, they switched up their toy range, and they cleared out their current toy range. And I just happened upon this one and just maximised what I could get out of it. And I bought thousands of pounds worth of stuff, and have turned it over for many times what I paid on it, what my initial investment was. I bought loads and loads of Lego, Hot Wheels stuff. You've seen all this stuff if you've watched my other videos. But other things as well they were clearing at the same time. There was homeware stuff and bedding and all of that. We bought up all of that as well. And it's just a great way to make really good money if you've got the money to invest. And like I did with this, I sat on most of the stock until recently, and then listed it all and cashed it in at the best time of year, which is right now, November, December sort of time, to maximise what I get back on it and get really quick sales on it. So yeah, that was probably the biggest single haul I've ever had, was that Tesco's one. I filled the estate car up, I can't remember, 2 or 3 times at least. I literally filled it with the seats down. You do have to have a certain amount of nerve to do this, and not really care what people say. You will get people staring at you, and you'll get people asking you questions. I mean, I've had people, when I'm taking all of a certain game off the shelf and filling up a trolley and another trolley next to it, and people just stop and stare at you. So what I tend to do, if you get people just staring at you and looking all like put out as to what you're doing, I just turn and look at them straight in the eye and just smile and say hi. That usually is enough to diffuse the tension, and then they wander off. But quite often you'll get people that will ask you, "Are you buying all of those?" sort of thing. And you just go, "Yeah, yes, thanks." And they just sort of look at you bemused and then wander off. But don't worry about it. Just get on with what you're doing. If they've got a problem with you, then that's their problem, really. Tesco's is putting this stuff on a shelf at a certain price because they want to sell it, and you're there because you want to buy it. You're not doing anything wrong, so just go for it. So yeah, that's my number 2, was a massive mega haul I had of toys and games and homeware stuff from Tesco's. Now my number 1 deal, and this was the deal that I made the most money on ever, and it's quite bizarre really. This was going back to, I'm pretty sure it was 2007, and I used to do a lot of this retail arbitrage stuff, particularly with games, because I had a high street shop and we were predominantly a game shop anyway. And this was about brain training on the DS. Now this game was hovering around the sort of top 10 of the game's bestsellers on Amazon continually for months on end. And it got to December and brain training was getting hard to get hold of. I had accounts with Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo, and I couldn't get hold of any because Nintendo had sold out themselves. All the stock had been allocated and sent out to suppliers, and Amazon sold out. So I was selling as a marketplace selling on Amazon anyway, and I suddenly saw the price of brain training go from $19.99, which was its retail price, to whatever people could get for it, and that became 35, 40 quid even was the top end of what they would go for when Amazon ran out of stock. And it was odd, they were managing to get some stock in, but when they sold out it was like a free-for-all and the price would go through the roof. So I had quite a lot of stock in my shop, and I put all of that on there when the price shot up to about 40 quid and cleared that. I would ring all my suppliers and get hold of everything I could, but that was nothing. And then it went on allocation, which meant that Nintendo would allocate all of the stock, so it would be pre-sold for when it came in, and my stock allocation was pitiful. It was tiny numbers, and there was a huge weight on it anyway. So I thought, oh well, I can't make much money here. But then I happened to check Argos, and Argos have a central warehouse where they store their stock and then they ship stock to stores as and when it's needed. And I checked my local Argos and they were selling them even less than retail. It was $18.99, and my local one in Hitchin had, I don't know, 10 or 20 in stock, and you could click and collect. So I reserved all of Hitchin stock, went onto Amazon and put those, let's say it was 20, up for sale, and within the day all of those had sold. So then, because they were reserved in my name, all I had to do was go round to my local Argos and buy them all, and they were already sold. And so I was buying them at 18 and I was selling them about 35 to 40, and I thought this is a good little earner. So I then did the same with the Argos in Letchworth. I reserved all the stock they had in Letchworth and Stevenage and Luton, all of the local towns that had Argos. I was able, as a consumer, as a buyer, to reserve all of the stock, and then all of those numbers that I had, I put on Amazon, and I was basically buying it to order and making really good money on each one. And then these stocks would get more, these shops, sorry, would get more stock in from Amazon's central warehouse, and I would do the same again. And in a period of about 2 weeks, at the beginning of December of 2007, I sold 400 or 500 copies of Brain Training through Amazon at between 35 and 40 quid each, and I was buying them at $18.99 from Argos. And I made many thousands of pounds just on that one product. And it was just like shelling peas. It was amazing. It wasn't just that game. There were other games that I was doing exactly the same thing on, but that was the big earner. The other titles I got in on, there were 42 all-time classics on the DS was another one I made loads of money on. Big Brain Academy, I think it was, on DS and on the Wii, and Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii as well. I was buying at full price in the likes of Argos, Game Station, and the price went berserk on Amazon because they kept selling out. So I was getting £60, £70 a title on the galaxies. So yeah, that just shows the opportunities that are there, particularly at Christmas. Christmas is a bizarre market, particularly on Amazon. A lot of people shop on Amazon and they shop through wish lists, and they don't necessarily know what the RRP or the regular price is of an item. And when Amazon themselves sell out, and it's then left to all of us marketplace sellers, the price just goes up and up and up as people sell out. And you can ask silly money, and if a product has a really high ranking on Amazon, you can sell it, and you can sell it really, really fast. I don't do so much of that anymore. Not really an Amazon seller as such anymore. I tend to sell on eBay, but you can do exactly the same thing on eBay. When a product is in demand, but there's very little out there, if you can get hold of that stock, it's like a license to print money. So that's my number one, was buying and selling brain training on Amazon in 2007, and it was I don't think I'll ever have it that easy again, where I can just click and reserve stock, sell it overnight, and then go and pick it up in the morning. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was like printing cash for a couple of weeks. So that was a big Christmas bonus that year. I mean, there's been hundreds of examples of this that I've done over the years, but those are a few interesting ones and really profitable ones that I thought I would tell you about. Hopefully inspire you to give this a go. There is huge money buying and selling new stock. I mean, you've probably seen a few little examples of it recently that I picked up and done well on. Recently, the John Cena outfits that I picked up, again, that was an Argos deal. They were $3.99, and I think I got 16 or 18 of them, and I've now got 2 or 3 left, and I've been selling those at £12. So it's not masses of money on each one, but it's one listing, and they've sold through really, really quick. And it's just a great way to supplement your income and make some really quick and easy money. So yeah, so that's my top 5 retail arbitrage stories. Hopefully that gives you some food for thought, and maybe inspires you to give that a go. So thanks for watching, guys. See you again soon.